What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of JV360. We have here the all-new Rictor K1 electric bike. This is one of the newer companies to come out in the market as of late. I think late 2024, early 2025. But yeah, guys, this is a 48 volt 750 watt e-bike, and let's kind of go over some of the features, some of the specs, and take this thing out for a spin. So at first glance, it's definitely an interesting design. I think they're trying to go for this sort of like retro, modern, sort of Jetson type feel. You can see over here some of the rounded edges over here, making this like triangle shape, with the seat kind of like isolated over here, and this little like integrated rear light in the back. Very like minimalist, futuristic design. I don't know how to put it, but it's definitely unique in its own right. And so one of the things I definitely want to go over is the removable battery. Now over here you have the option to charge the bike on the frame itself, or you can actually remove this section battery right over here. If you have the key, you just pretty much unlock this and you would remove this, and it would probably pretty much lift up, and you can pretty much take it anywhere. I've kind of gotten people looking at it thinking that it was like a suitcase or some type of like you know, lunchbox or external battery or some sort, but definitely a very portable battery, especially in instances where you are charging on the go. As we make our way over here, we have here, it's kind of looks like a storage compartment, but actually I have my jacket in here right now. This is actually room for a secondary battery. Now Rictor offers a second battery option, obviously for an additional charge, but the secondary battery would go into here, and you would just pretty much plug in the XT60 connector right there, and your batteries will pretty much be working in parallel. But if you decide to stick with just the 15 amp hour battery, which is, you know, in my mind, I think you should just go with the secondary battery as well, especially if you're commuting a lot. You could still use this as like a storage compartment. As you can see, I could put my jacket in here. You could probably put the charger as well. Different things you could put in there, but it is an open compartment. It opens from one side, and it has this nice sort of locking mechanism over here so that things don't move. As we make our way towards the back here, we have our little I call it a mini monoshock in the back here. It actually felt pretty comfortable riding it over here. It didn't, you know, feel stiff at all, or didn't bottom out, which is really nice. It provided pretty much a comfortable ride, especially over, you know, potholes and whatnot. And then as we make our way over here to the motor, this is a 48 volt 750 watt Bafang motor, and over here we have our 160 millimeter rotors on the back as well as in the front over here. These fenders, you know, they came pre-installed on the bike when they shipped. For me, I'm not really that big of a fan of them. They do make a lot of noise, especially when you're running over like rocks or any type of debris. We have our standard sort of cafe racer light over here in the front, with our standard shocks in the front as well. You actually have a preload. You can adjust the compression here, so you can set it to the amount of rebound that you want. Also, another thing I forgot to mention, these tires are actually pretty nice. They sell these on Amazon. They're known as like the Ultraverse tires. They come in 20x4, and they're actually pretty good for, you know, high-powered e-bikes. I've just heard a lot of people use them, and they've been quite happy with them. So I'm glad that Rictor was able to put these stock on the K1. As we make our way over here at the dash, we have our LCD screen here. One thing I didn't like, it's a little bit dim. It has like this sort of like tint on it. It's hard to kind of see it in the sunlight. You know, unless you hit like a pot of shade or anything like that, you'll be able to see sort of the numbers here. But I don't know if the camera is getting this, but you have your battery level over here. This is already set to miles per hour. The display is about 1 to 2 miles off of the actual GPS. You have your trip information over here, as well as your mode indicator at the top. Now, as we make our way over to the controls here, you could cycle through those modes with the plus and minus button here. The power button is right under here. You have your trip information by hitting this info button over here. It will actually cycle through some of the info you want to display. You have your light switch over here, as well as a walking mode, which I found real interesting. You usually don't have a separate walking mode button, but if you press that, it pretty much puts the bike in walking mode, so you're, I think, able to push it at about like 6 miles an hour. Got your horn button over here. And then also, one incredibly unique feature that this bike has is a turbo mode / turbo button. So when you are in mode 3, if you hit the plus button again, you'll see that 3 start to blink right over here, which pretty much enables turbo mode, like a sort of like mini NOS, because your bike does cap at about 28 miles an hour. But if you put turbo mode on, it will allow the bike to go about 30 miles an hour, even 30 plus. So I found that feature really unique, especially with today's bikes where it doesn't really have that kind of feature. So it gives you the option to kind of like give it that little boost, especially on a long stretch. Also guys, while we're on the subject of the display, it actually has a NFC activated ignition switch. So if you have the NFC card nearby, you can turn on the bike, no issues. And it actually included, Rictor also included a sort of remote to kind of like manually unlock and lock the K1. So if I'm over here, I can actually lock it. So it locks the bike here. And then if you want to unlock it, once you hit the unlock button, it pretty much turns on the bike right then and there. But also a fair warning guys, with this remote, I found that if you're riding with it and you have it in your pocket, I probably wouldn't recommend that, because there have been times where I had it in my pocket and it actually turned off the bike while I was riding mid-ride, which is kind of scary. So I would probably leave this at home. But yeah, I wouldn't keep it in your pocket or anywhere that it's, you know, with other stuff, because if you're riding and you hit that lock button, it will turn off the bike. Another thing I like about the bike that they equipped here are the XOD brakes. I've actually used these on a couple of my early builds back in the day, and they work really nice for hydraulic brakes. Great stopping power, bites those rotors hard. And then we have the rear light in the back here that I mentioned before. If you do hit the brakes, it does like a sort of little blinking, sort of like blinking indicator, just letting people know behind you that you're braking. And also over here, I forgot to mention, there's actually some ambient lighting along the panels over here. So if you can see closely, I don't know if the GoPro can catch that, but right now it's lighting blue. And in the Rictor app, you can actually change the color of the ambient lighting, which is kind of nice actually. And when we're on the subject of the app, it actually does provide quite a bit of information, especially with your battery. Like it has interesting stuff, you know, especially the standard, you know, like trip information, as well as powering on and off the bike from the app itself. So if you go into here into vehicle info and you click battery info, it actually gives you some good information about your battery, you know, obviously including the remaining charge, but it also includes the temperature, as well as the wattage and, you know, current as well. On the right side over here of the dash, we have our standard 7-speed Shimano shifter. You know, for me, I don't really use this as much because, you know, once you get to a certain point, you're pretty much just ghost pedaling. And you also have the half twist throttle over here. All right guys, so that is the K1. Let's go ahead and take this out for a spin and let you guys know what I think about it. Alright, so on mode 3, we hit a top speed of about 28 miles per hour as per the GPS here. So I'm curious to see what the top speed will be once we enable turbo mode. Alright, here we go. mode 3, and turbo enabled. I don't know if you guys can see that on the screen, but the 3 is blinking. That means that we have enabled turbo mode. Woo! I saw we hit 30. Can we hit 31? It's pinning 30 pretty hard, actually. Woohoo! Whoa! All right. Definitely with turbo mode enabled, we were able to keep it pretty much above 28, 29, and then we hit 30. Which was really nice. It's honestly not bad, especially for a 48 volt e-bike that's only using a 750 watt motor. I mean, the controller's probably like 25 amps, maybe 30 amps at the most. So the fact that it can hit 30 is pretty impressive. I mean, I'm pretty sure your battery will you'll start to see the effects of pinning it, you know, from your battery, but I mean, it's honestly not bad. Alright guys, so we got the K1 in the city right now. We're going to continue ripping this thing around. And honestly, from the jump, the suspension is actually pretty good. I was actually slightly surprised because that rear monoshock is actually very small. So I was thinking that the shock was going to be bottoming out, but that's not the case actually, which is great. Yeah, the suspension, even the front, I adjusted the rebound on the front, feels really good. There is a little bit of clanging, which is coming from the fenders, and not gonna lie, I don't really like the fenders that much. I feel as though it's too close to the wheel, and the metal fenders, especially the metal ones, are a bit noisy in my opinion. But this thing is definitely a cruiser, man. And what I do like about the K1 off of the bat too is the app is just not like a generic sort of e-bike app where it just like, you know, lets you turn on the bike or just like view the mileage and stuff like that. It actually has some pretty useful battery information like temperature, battery health and stuff like that. Pretty good. I want to also say another thing to note, especially with this the throttle, is there's a little bit of a delay, probably like a 1 second delay, 1.5 second delay. It's a little annoying, but I think that just has to do with the setting in the controller. See, there's that delay there on the half twist, and the same kind of goes for the pedaling too. Like when I start pedaling, the cadence sensor doesn't pick up the pedaling till like a good while. I would say like 2 seconds, man. But once it kicks in, you know, after that, like probably like 20 mile an hour mark, you're pretty much just ghost pedaling at that point. Another thing I will say is that motor is really loud. You can kind of hear it like whirring. I don't know if you guys can hear it through the microphone, but it's pretty loud. All right, so this is mode 1, throttle only, and we are capped at about 15 miles an hour. I would say like a hard 15. All right, let's switch it up to mode 2. Let's see how fast we get. I could feel the limiter kick in too. Like once you hit that certain mode, like that limiter kicks in like right away. About 20 miles an hour. Yeah, that's a hard 20 right there, see? Woo! All right, just so you guys know, I don't have the turbo button enabled yet. Once I get on the main road, that's when I'll probably engage it. Whew, that suspension feels real good though. All right, let's put turbo on. As you can see, the 3 is blinking. Oh yeah, it's climbing, it's climbing. Going up a pretty steep incline here at about 21, 22 miles an hour, not bad. Woo! Whoa, we hit 30 miles an hour. Holy cow. Coming to a stop here. Oh man, we're on a slight uphill too, 28, 29. Holy cow. This thing pulls in turbo mode. One thing I will say, we're kind of about down to about maybe like 55, 60%. You're probably gonna wanna opt for the bigger battery for sure. Well, the additional battery that you can add to the center frame, because the stock battery is only 15 amp hours and you burn through that pretty quickly, especially in mode 3. Yeah, I have to look up what the additional battery costs, but in my opinion, I think Rictor should have just made the version with the 2 batteries. Because if you're planning on using this to commute, even if it's a short commute, it's always good to have that sort of added range, you know? The display and GPS all kind of match. They're about like probably a mile, 2 miles off. The display is showing a little bit faster. But not a ways off. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, I don't know if it's just my bike or if you guys are experiencing this as well, but for some reason the light switch, the light control switch over here, it doesn't work. Like the only way I could enable the light is if I hit the walking mode on the control switch, which is really weird. I don't know if you guys have experienced that issue as well. I have to contact Rictor about that, but yeah, I can't enable the headlight for some reason. I don't know if like one of the wires might have snagged or something like that in shipping or whatever, but yeah, it's not activating. One thing I will mention too, the display is a little hard to see like during the day. I don't know if it's the way that it's angled or it's the like tinted screen on top. Not sure, but it's a little hard to see some of the icons on top. But overall, I think the display looks good. I like the sort of ovalish shape that kind of goes with the bike itself. Nice display choice for this bike. All right, guys. So after riding the K1 for pretty much the whole day, let's go over some of the pros and cons of the K1 and see what we like about it, see what we don't like, maybe some improvements here and there. And yeah, I'll give you my overall thoughts on it. So overall, in terms of ride quality, I do love the suspension. This monoshock in the back actually pretty much surprised me in terms of comfort. I didn't find any issues kind of going over some deep potholes, some bumps here and there. It handled the NYC streets pretty well. Another thing I do like too is the addition of these Ultraverse tires. These tires are pretty beefy for 20x4 and are actually can withstand a lot of gravel, you know, considering that it is just a street tire. Overall, the front suspension is nice. I didn't have any issues with that either, especially when you have the damper over here, the adjustable damper. It was really easy to kind of set and kind of like pin it down to how I wanted the front play to be. Another thing I really like are the brakes. These XOD brakes are really underrated. I've used them for a couple of my early builds back in the day, and they work great, especially for hydraulic brakes. And these also come with the brake sensors as well, the SM plug brake sensors, so you can pretty much use them for any aftermarket controller. Another thing I do like too, obviously, is this portable battery here. I got a lot of compliments when I was in the city about how it kind of looks like a suitcase almost, but it has like a nice like refined look, especially with the leather strap that you're able to kind of like use for carrying around, you know, whether it be in the office, whether it be in the home. It's really, really sleek, and from a distance you wouldn't even know it's a battery. It looks just like a, you know, some kind of storage like lunchbox or some kind of like plastic enclosure or something like that, or like some kind of external battery. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention, I do really like the turbo button feature of this. That's not really a feature that a lot of, you know, standard e-bikes have in the market today. So I do like the option that you can kind of boost the bike to a little bit past 30 miles an hour if you wanted to. That's a nice little cool feature that Rictor added to this that I really do like. All right, guys, those are the things I like about the K1. I'm going to go over some things that I feel could use some improvements, or some things that I don't really like about the bike. One thing I didn't really like was this sort of plastic enclosure here. This actually houses your secondary battery if you decide to get the additional battery option, but it's like a very like flimsy type of plastic. Like when you try lifting the bike up, you can kind of feel the plastic sort of creak a little bit. Being that it is sort of like mounted and built into the frame, I wish they would have just used the same material from the main frame for this door here. Another thing I will say is, you know, I do appreciate Rictor sort of pre-installing the fenders, but for someone like me, I wish they would have just kind of kept it separate from the bike as an option for you to install it if you want to. I don't really like the look that much. It has like a nice little chrome finish, but it is kind of annoying, especially with this type of material, when a lot of like rocks are sort of like hitting the fender itself. It's like almost nauseating with the amount of like rock sounds and cracking sounds that you hear just from it coming in contact with the fender. And sort of the last thing I'm going to mention is wire management. If you look at the front here, it's kind of a lot of these front wires, like from the brake sensors and the display, as well as the control unit over here. All these wires are kind of exposed. I wish they would kind of just like wrap it up with some, you know, some wire cover or something like that, because it's just kind of like out here like this. So it looks kind of like messy. You can see they kind of used it for the inner part of the wire over here. I wish they kind of, you know, did that same cover along these wires here, because it is rather like messy with everything sort of like exposed out like this. So in terms of wire management, I think they could have done definitely a better job. But yeah, guys, other than that, I really like the ride quality of the K1. I think it fits perfect for somebody that is really looking to just, you know, cruise around in the city and you know, basically keep this as like their main commuter. I will say this though, if you're gonna get this, I would definitely recommend getting the secondary battery. I had to charge the stock one, and I was down to about like 34-40% by the time I got to work, so I ended up topping off at work, and you know, it was able to get me home. But at the same time, I feel as though, to be on the safe side, definitely get the additional battery for the frame here. Anyways, guys, hope y'all enjoyed the video today. I know I enjoyed my time with the K1. Be sure to leave a like, comment, or even subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the Rictor K1. And yeah, we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.